You are into technology, then this is the place for you. AfricaCom is in Cape Town and they've attracted over 15,000 leaders in innovation and technology, but not only on how it will benefit, of course, the organization and the industry, but also how it will impact the people on the continent of Africa. So Jumbo, welcome, Sawubona. I am Tumelo and this is #Africa. This is still #Africa. We are at AfricaCom, and every other organization interested or that has a passion to bridge the digital divide is here today. And we more here to find out about YahClick. And I'm seated next to its CEO, Farad Khan. Thank you for your time. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Bella. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
All right, thank you.
I think I'm particularly interested in your story as an organization because, I mean, you are here to make sure that whether you're in the rural areas, whether you're in the suburbs, the metros, in villages, you have access to connectivity. Why is that important to you?
Well, firstly, the biggest issue that we have in Africa is internet penetration and the digital divide. Just to give you some average numbers, South Africa, we're at about 56%, Nigeria, we're just over 60%, Kenya is 90%, one of the highest in Africa. But the problem is that at an average, we're way behind Europe, America, and I think that there's value that we are losing as a community and a continent. The World Bank did a study a few years ago that said for every 10% of access to internet in a country, the GDP climbs by almost 1.3%. And for me, I believe that it's a must that we lose opportunities to bring our continent forward by not giving connectivity to the people.
And I also introduced your organization. It is YahClick. For someone who's looking for context about when the organization started, tell us a bit more about YahClick.
Okay, so YahClick is a joint venture between Hughes, which is the world leader for satellite technology and communications, and Yahsat, which is owned by the Mubadala Group. Mubadala is the UAE investment group, wholly owned subsidiary of Mubadala. We've got presence in Africa, Brazil, Middle East, and Southwest Asia. So YahClick as a brand will not be prevalent into the households because the model that we use is we go to market through partners in different countries, which is what I can talk to you a bit more about, which is why we are on the stand. We've just concluded a signing ceremony with a company called MoreClick, who we've appointed as our master distributor for the consumer market in South Africa. We have other partners in other parts of Africa, but the model that we're going to embrace going forward now is one that's a lot more intimate with the market. I introduced by speaking about the digital divide. What satellite is about for us is the ability to connect people with really high-speed internet. We're talking up to 25 megs, which is very similar to fiber speeds at a fraction of the cost. So historically, the access to satellite technology was really expensive. Where we've come now, technology has advanced substantially, and the cost of the dish and the electronics and the components related to it is now really affordable. It's actually the price of a mid-range smartphone. The price of the capacity, which is what we call the monthly commitment and the monthly cost, is actually, in our opinion, closer to, if you're familiar with ADSL or 4G, at those prices. So we believe that the unserved and the underserved should never be unserved and underserved.
Yeah. And I'm glad you say that because for the longest time, I think even in South Africa, there have been complaints about the how expensive data is, how expensive Wi-Fi is. Why did it have to reach us this long till we got finally, an affordable option, whereas previously it's been quite an expensive, route to go. And basically, it's a basic need these days. You need connectivity, you need data, you need Wi-Fi.
Well, you actually put your finger on the main point, is that you had a lack of option. Because where there's competition, there's a prevalence of price, economic value, and value add to the customer. We believe that South Africa has matured substantially. There are sufficient players in the market to ensure that the customer gets the best deal out there. Yeah. As a satellite operator, we needed to benchmark not against other satellite operators, but against every market offering that's out there in the country. The advantage that we have as YahClick is that our infrastructure is in space. It's already gone. We don't need to lay cables. We don't need to lay fiber. Wherever you are in South Africa, and most of Africa, by the way, we cover 28 countries in Africa. Wherever you are, without even needing one bit of infrastructure, you have access.
And just lastly, Farad, before I let you go, what's the future of connectivity in Africa? Let's say predictions 5-10 years from now.
Okay, so the same way that we're getting this model where we get a lot more intimate with the customers, we've got projects in Nigeria, Kenya, and most of Africa where we're doing schools, hospitals, clinics, e-learning. We do government connectivity projects in areas where they don't have connectivity. So in the last 5 years, we've seen a massive prevalence of getting connectivity to the rural areas. Lastly, before I go, what we are showcasing today at AfricaCom is our Wi-Fi connectivity project. We are going to be positioning our product at taxi ranks, taverns, restaurants, all the informal gathering areas where people need access to internet. And for as low as 50 cents and 1 rand, you can get internet access for an hour, 2 hours, unheard of before.
Thank you so much. I'm actually glad you brought the great news to us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, that's the CEO of YaClick, Farad Khan, joining us right here on hashtag Africa. But let's move on now to Tanzania, where they are taking use of technology there to try and eradicate their malaria issues there. Where, of course, drones now have taken over the skies, this to make sure that they tackle mosquitoes before they even hatch.
A new weapon in the battle against malaria has taken to the skies. On Tanzania's Zanzibar archipelago, researchers are flying drones armed with Aquitaine AMF, a non-toxic, colourless solution. It's being sprayed on rice fields, typical breeding grounds for the Anopheles mosquito that spreads malaria. The liquid creates a thin film on top of the water, preventing mosquito pupae and larvae from breathing at the surface.
That's malaria mosquitoes, you see that?
Put simply, it drowns them. It's a method that tackles the transmission of malaria at the source, says Dr. Bart Knowles.
This is where the problem starts. These are the breeding grounds of mosquitoes. So once we control them here, we will see far fewer mosquitoes making it to the houses where people live, biting these people and therefore transmitting malarial disease.
The World Health Organization says malaria killed 435,000 of the 219 million people who were infected in 2017. Sub-Saharan Africa accounted for more than 90% of global deaths. Scientists hope to expand this technology across the continent, saying the drones are efficient and cost-effective. That's especially when dealing with large irrigated areas, says Professor Wolfgang Richard Mukabana.
As you can see, the way the paddies look like, it's very difficult to just walk through the paddies and apply the chemical. So you want to have something that can just spray it on the water surface, it spreads, does its job, and that is it.
The Aquitaine solution is made by Australian company Aquitaine Products, which says it is highly permeable to gases, meaning that while it stops the mosquitoes from breathing, it still allows the water to be oxygenated.
And after the break, we'll move over, Iron Man, because heavy lifting could be a thing of the past, thanks to some Egyptian innovations. We'll tell you all of that after the break.